Hey, gorgeous. I'm so happy that you're here and that we get to have this conversation. If you're brand new to my world, welcome. I'm so happy that you're here. And if this is the 100th time that you've been back, or even the second time, or whatever, you've been here a while, I am really excited to take you behind the scenes of what has gone into creating a $442,000 year in revenue in our company. And if you're feeling like you're on the edge of your next level, then this training is going to be super beneficial for you. This probably, I mean, if you're a beginner, then absolutely get some ideas, and hopefully, this is motivation and insight that wherever you are right now, you can absolutely get to where you want to go. But this really is going to be a really powerful conversation for you and a really powerful training for you if you right now are doing around 3,000 to 10,000 a month, maybe just either side of that, but approximately. But every month in your coaching business and your consulting business feels like you're starting from scratch. You know, the feeling when you're like, oh my God, it's a new month. How am I gonna get through this month? Can I do another month? And that's really like the shift from starting, I call the starting phase the initiator. From starting to getting to consistent 10K months, that's a whole chapter in itself. And so I really want to shift gears and support you in getting to that next level. And right now, probably, if you're like so many of my clients who come to me and hire me to help them get to 20 to 30K months, right now you're probably signing clients, but it's really inconsistent. Maybe you're doing so much content, you're doing so many calls, you're doing like it feels like you're doing every strategy, you've got launch plans going on, and no matter how hard you're working, like you've got a solid work ethic, it'll feel so unstable. And maybe you've had the odd 15K or 20K or even 30K or even 40K or 50K months like some of my clients, but it feels really just unpredictable. Like if you were to try and replicate that 15K, 20K, or even 50K month, you wouldn't be able to do it. It feels like it was almost luck. And you would love to be able to stabilize that, but you're not even sure how. And right now, you've got so many offers, you've got just content that you're focused on all the time. It's non-stop. You're over delivering. Like if you find yourself in your coaching containers or even in your free masterclasses, just giving so much value, but you know that it's coming from a place of that you're just wanting to prove prove your value, prove your worth, and you're realizing that this probably isn't sustainable. You're noticing that your calendar is very full, but your nervous system is fried, if you're honest, and you find yourself asking, is it really supposed to feel this hard? Don't worry, I get it. I've been there. So many people that I have helped have been there as well. And I call this in between feeling that you're probably feeling right now. It's like I call it the messy middle. You're not quite a beginner. You're too experienced to be a beginner. You've outgrown that phase, but you're not yet stabilized in a business model that feels really predictable, that feels profitable and peaceful, and like you just can show up and you know that you're going to generate sales, you know that you're going to generate money, you know that if you do make these moves and do these things, you're going to bring in wealth and abundance and clients, and things are just going to happen. You're going to feel supported by your business. And it's like you're right on the edge of your next level, but it's just, there's just something blocking you from that. Now, the reason why I'm able to share that with you and take you behind the scenes is because I know that place very well. And that was me not so long ago, to be honest. I actually got to $300,000 a year from that place. And honestly, it was freaking exhausting. I was constantly launching all the time. I was starting each month pretty much on zero, and I was just like, okay, what are we launching this month? How am I serving this month? And it was all like, you're helping, you're serving, you're doing a good job, you're helping people get amazing results, but from a scalable and from a business perspective, there's only so long that you can go on like that. And for me, a couple of years ago, it was after my first 300K year, I got super burned out. I remember getting sick. It was around, there was still COVID going around. So it was like 2021, 2022 maybe. But it was about 2021 actually. After that, yeah, it was the first 300K year. I remember getting sick and I remember spending like 5 days on the couch, just horizontal, thinking there must be another way. Like, I cannot go on like this. And if I'm burned out and I'm not even able to work for a week, like, how's that going to impact the business? And that was the moment for me that I realized that I needed to do something different, which now, when I take you behind the scenes, I'm going to share the things that we did to make the 440K year possible from a very grounded place. But it really started from that launch to launch on the hamster wheel. It was fun, but it was full on, and it wasn't how I wanted to live, and it wasn't definitely not how I wanted to scale. And I've since built a $1 million company from zero, and two online brands that generate multiple six figures per year. I have also helped now dozens of women create this for themselves and their businesses as well, with simplicity, with depth, like really cultivating their mission and their medicine and creating a very strong brand and a very strong business that supports them to do more of what they love without just constantly having to keep the business afloat. And over the years, it's not surprising that, when you start creating traction and you start doing something that is pretty unconventional, right? Like, you start turning heads, people start taking notice, they start wondering what is she up to? What's going on here? I've never seen something like this before. When you're creating your business in your alignment, you're doing it in your most aligned way, which means that it's probably not been done before. So people started taking notice, media started taking notice. Being featured in many, many global media, magazines, on TV, had the Project New Zealand, which is a news station, just over 18 months ago, reach out to me. They text me and they're like, hey, can you do an interview as one of the experts? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. And that was through my thought leadership, right? And what I know to be true is that when you've got a vision and you've got a mission and you're willing to sh- show up in a way that is true to you, true to your soul, true to the work that you're here to do in the world, then the business structure to support you doing that is actually very simple. Now, I know that can be very frustrating to hear when right now maybe you're in the weeds and you're still in that hamster wheel, or you're still in that launch to launch, or the roller coaster of the month to month income, or that paycheck to paycheck kind of energy, which is a really exhausting place to be. And it was really last year. So we're in 2025 now, if you're watching this live, watching this recently. And it was 2024 where my husband and I were traveling pretty much full time. We went to the States for 3 months. We were driving in an RV across the States. It was a lot of fun. And went to Vancouver for a couple of months. We were in Western Australia before that. We're based in New Zealand most of the time, but we just did these really cool adventures. And, it's before we have kids. And we were thinking, okay, what is it that we really want to do before kids come? And what blew my mind is that we had our biggest year in business while living this really cool adventure lifestyle. And the business, like, I'm still generating 20 to 30K months consistently with less than 10 hours a week of calls in my calendar. And I looked at that. I hopped off a call with our bookkeeper, with our accountant at the end of the tax year. And she's like, you guys are crushing it. Like, this is insane. And I knew that this is something that so many people want. So this is why I'm taking you behind the scenes and I'm showing you how we did it. Because that's one of the biggest questions, is how? How do you have a business that your husband doesn't need to work a job that he hates, that you guys can do business together, that he can do his own thing, that you can build something together, that you can travel, that you can go on these cool adventures and live wherever you want, and have this lifestyle that honestly so many people dream of. And when I looked at the how, first of all, came from a desire, because the memory and that place of needing to constantly be tweaking my offers, selling new things, launching new things, always running on urgency, doing everything myself. It was exhausting and it wasn't a place to live. Sure, I might have been making money back then, but I had no peace, no safety. There was momentum happening, but it felt like survival. It looked like growth, but it felt like it was just very intense. And so when I look at the year that we've just had, and I look at the very stable, consistent growth that we've had since starting the business in 2018, there are some really important tweaks that I've made that when you start to implement these yourself, and this is what I'm super passionate about, is that women are, yes, you're creating financial freedom for yourself, but you're doing it and your family, but you're doing it in a way where it feels really good. Like you're living your life in the way that you want to be living your life, and you're showing up each day doing stuff that you love with the people that you love, with clients that you love, because you've built something from soul, from alignment, not from obligation, not from intense pressure, not from this is how everyone else has done it, and so this is how I have to do it. And there's really this cool opportunity that we've got to look at, okay, where you're at right now, maybe it's good, but you know that there can be a better way. You know that there's a better way. You know that there's a better way for you. And for me, everything really shifted when I got brutally honest about what wasn't working, right? It's like we can kid ourselves, but we can also look at what we are doing and go, right, this isn't working. And I started to rebuild my business around what actually creates freedom. And so it was a cool, like at the end of the tax year, and when I'm on the call with my bookkeeper who's doing all my tax things, and she's like, how, what did you do? I'm like, it's so crazy because it's the biggest year, but it's also the year that I've had more freedom. And it didn't happen by mistake. It didn't happen by accident. I was taken back to that moment in 2021 or 2022 where I was on the couch and I knew that there had to be another way. I didn't want to live like that. I didn't want to be in the hustle mode. And it was like, it was very feminine, but it was hustle, right? It was in hindsight that I'm like, I might have seemed calm, but actually that's not a sustainable way to scale or to live. It's not healthy, right? There's only so long that you can do that. Okay, so what changed? So the first thing that we introduced was one clear, scalable signature offer that was very strategically built to help me get out of being on calls all the time and constantly repeating myself to clients. I literally took all the stuff that I was doing in my one-on-one sessions with one-on-one clients, and I was listening to the conversations that I was having, that I was repeating myself around with clients behind the scenes, and I turned this into a process that anyone could walk through and get results. And it's high impact, it's very scalable, super profitable, and it meant that there was no more having to split my energy. There was no more having to start over from every month. It meant that everything that I was doing in my business, like, yes, we had mini courses and yes, we've had other offers going on, but they were they're for fun. That's not to pay the bills, right? And everything that I was doing, it was the strategy of all roads lead to my one signature offer. And so that it was priced at, uh, the price changed, but last year it was 450 per month. And then once people had completed their initial 6 months, they then went into a lower continuation price point as a rolling membership that they could stay in for a long time and as long as they wanted. And on top of that, I also had one-on-one mentorship. So people could sign up for different time frames between 1,200 per month and 5,000 per month is the price points that I was charging for that. And so what that meant is every month I was starting already on 5 figures. And anything else that I wanted to do, because like you love what you do, you love serving you're an artist, your work is part of your creative expression. I don't know about you, but whenever I have a day off, I just get more ideas for like business ideas, more offer ideas. Like I love so much. I feel like it's the universe moving through me. It's what I'm here to do in the world, and probably the same as you. So I give myself permission for that, right? Like if I want to create something, I'm going to create something. And if you have a business that everything that you're doing is now from choice, it's from overflow. It's not because you've got to think about how you're going to pay the bills. It's simply because this feels really fun for you and your business model is set up in a way where you're starting each month on probably what now is your goal, right? Like it's starting each month on 20K, starting each month on 15K, starting each month already on 10K projected for the month ahead. Like that's a really good feeling. It's a really good place to be. And so that's the one part of it. That's the one thing that changed. The second piece is that I created what I call energy aligned visibility. And that means that you're not trying to be everywhere, right? I was following one of my mentors. We were trying to implement this omnipresent strategy, and it was just something that didn't sit right. I was trying to run ads, and it was just, there was no alignment and intention to what I was doing. And so I stripped everything right back and I thought, right, what is it that moves the needle? And what I realized is that Facebook and Instagram was super lucrative for me. Facebook was very lucrative. Instagram was great for new leads coming in and then would move into Facebook. And that was generally where the most conversion would happen. So I doubled down on that. I'd post on Facebook. I would then turn that into a post for Instagram. Going into this year as we're scaling beyond that, we've got a different strategy, but I want to take you behind the scenes of what we did to get to over 400K revenue for the year. So those were my social pieces that people could experience my medicine, my work, my message, my thoughts, right? And this is what you want to think about, is how are you communicating with your community so that they get an insight into who you are as a person. Right? Do they trust you as a person? Do they like you as a person? Right? As a coach, that's really important. You're not necessarily going to work with a coach that you don't like. Right? I don't know about you, but I would not do that. I would not put my money into working with someone that I don't like, right? So you want to be showing up in a way that you're just being yourself. You're literally just sharing your brilliance, you're sharing your magic. Yes, there is strategy and that goes into that with messaging and your online sales system as well, of course. But at the end of the day, you're sharing who you are. And your people are going to like that. And those that don't, then that's awesome. They can go find someone else. There's plenty of people that want to work with you. So that's the front end. Then there was email. So again, with the front end side of stuff, not everyone's going to see it. The algorithms, they do their thing. They update. People see it. They're not online. It's fleeting. Email, I still have people replying to emails that I sent weeks ago. And so there is a longevity of people actually being able to read the stuff that you're writing. I don't have, like, I send this amount of emails per week. I just send my best content. Sometimes it's 2 times a week. Sometimes I might go 2 weeks without sending an email. Sometimes it's like 6 times a week. I just share the emails that I want to share that I think is worthy and deserving of being sent out into people's inboxes. And that just feels very aligned for how I operate. You might be different. And then I focus on long form content and being visible in new spaces. So partnerships, podcasts, interviews, being on other people's stages and bringing people into my podcast or YouTube as well. Again, YouTube is something newer that I'm starting to focus on, but to get to the 400K year was podcast and other people's stages. That was the more long form ways that people can go deeper with you. And I really stopped posting out of obligation. I fell in love with showing up more and showing up in very aligned ways. And then I created this strategic content rhythm that matched my energy, and it positioned me as the go-to expert in the solution for my soulmate clients. So what was happening is there's this ecosystem going on online, and my content started doing all of the selling, or the pre-selling for me, I should say. There was still a final conversation that would take place, but people already knew that they wanted to work with me by the time that they got into my DMs, or in the very rare occasion that I did do a couple of sales calls. I want to say that within the year I did maybe five, if that. And the reason is because people could go deep with me in the long form content. They were part of my email. They're seeing me posting consistently. I've got lead magnets that I'm sharing. People are able to experience these mini wins constantly. Plus, they're seeing what my clients are sharing behind the scenes. Clients are staying in my world for a long time. Referrals are coming in. People that are referred by their friend who's also a client of mine, they're seeing my content, they're coming in. So there was this very organic flow that started to happen, that by the time that someone got into my inbox, they were already pretty well qualified. Now, that leads us to the third piece that I implemented. And this is a calm, confident enrollment system. And you want to have, when you're scaling, you want to have a sales machine that is super predictable, that brings in results. And yes, there's energetic aspects to it as well. But once you've got the energetics sorted, the strategy and the process is very, very simple. And in this enrollment system, it meant that there were no crazy launches. And if I'm honest, I hate launching all the time. It's just, I don't know what human design you are, but I'm a projector. And I just, if I have to do anything that's super, super intense, like just, it's just not my jam. I love going with the flow. I love things that are very simple. I love having this magnetic attraction based business model that's just constantly bringing in inquiries. I don't want to have to wait for doors open, doors closed. Uh, Although that is a really good strategy and I'm not opposed to it, but right now, to get to where we did in this past year, it was it was fun. Like I was sitting in the RV driving across the states. I remember driving through Colorado and through the Rocky Mountains, and I was making content and people were DMing me and I was just messaging them about their goals and what was coming up for them and what was their challenges. And I was sending them payment links and then they would pay. And I would say to Dane, hey, look at that beautiful mountain. Oh my gosh, it's snowing. Oh my gosh, look at that cool elk, or is that a deer? I'm not sure what it is, but it's cool. Look at that. And so it was just this very fun, easy enrollment system to receive payments, serve clients. I had the systems built so that clients could come in, get amazing results, stay in my world for a long time if they wanted to. And it's very flowy. I don't use DM scripts. I don't do chasing. If someone wants to work with me, they're going to work with me. I don't follow up. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it is what it is, and it's how I roll, and it works. And you're partnering with people that want success. They want what you have to offer. And when you're just sharing, hey, this is what I'm doing, this is what's working, this is where I've been, this is what I know works, this worked for me, that didn't work for me, I made that mistake, I learned that lesson. You're just showing up honestly. You're having these very clear, calm conversations, and people are kind of self-enrolling. Of course, there's some structure that goes into that in the setup phase of that to make that possible. But once it's set up, it's a really simple process. And it meant that, people can feel that you've got a business that is attracting clients, not trying to convince anyone. And these structural shifts, right? They weren't quick fixes. They weren't just very simple tactics that I just implemented off a whim. They were intentionally built and they changed everything, not just for me, but for my marriage, for having now the business that supports when we do have a family, and creates the most amazing lifestyle. That I don't know about you, but I couldn't even fathomed this in my early 20s, mid 20s. And so now what's really cool is we start each year already on six figures for the year, start each month already on five figures for the month. I wake up to Stripe notifications from people that have inquired about something. I've sent them a link, or I've put a link either in an email or on an Instagram story, and people are just coming in. They're deciding that they come in, And it means that I'm working with people that really resonate with me and my work and who I am. And it just makes an amazing life. I don't know about you, but I don't want to work with clients that it feels too forced. I want everything to be a vibe. I think life is magic, and I think we get to make everything that we do in business a reflection of that. And that means attracting soulmate kind of clients. I'm very, very chill. I have very slow mornings, surprisingly. I spend a lot of time in my dressing gown. I take a lot of time off, and the business still grows. And I've built this very repeatable income without being online all day. I travel a lot, I rest, I spend the afternoon in the sauna when I want. I spend a lot of time with my family. I take time off. I was just the other day hanging out with my sisters and my nephew and my niece, and looked after my nephews for the whole day and the school holidays, and I'm able to help family when I want to, and it's just really, really amazing. I do that all with a business that feels like mine. It's not something that I've got to constantly manage or chase or work really, really, really hard to sustain. It's very flowy, it's very sustainable. And for me, this is what true freedom looks like. It's what it feels like. And this is why I've created the Freedom Accelerator. It is why I'm so passionate about helping women just like you to build something very sustainable so that you can create the freedom in your life and your business for yourself and for your family as well. And the Freedom Accelerator is for the woman who has done enough to know you're capable. It's not like you're starting out, you're not a beginner. You are really good at what you do. Your clients tell you that you've helped them change their life. They sing your praises, they're referring people to you, and you know that you're capable of taking things to the next level. But maybe you're like I was, where everything right now is just launch to launch, crazy town, and you haven't built a model that supports your next level. Or maybe it just feels like there's some momentum happening, but you would like for it to be more, and you'd like for it to be easier, and you'd like for it to be way more predictable. And you're not looking for a starter kit. You're not looking to hustle harder. Absolutely not. You're looking to deepen your clarity, deepen your consistency, or the business's consistency, and you're ready to just turn up the notch on the cash flow that's coming through without sacrificing your life, your health, your well-being in order to get that. And if right now you're still waking up to an empty calendar, or you're wondering what to post, or you're praying for a last minute sale to hit your goals, or you're wondering where the fuck your next client is going to come from, that has to end here. That stops now. You already work really hard. You've got a solid work ethic, and you don't need more effort. You need a model that really supports you to do what you're here to do, more of what you love, and create the life that you really want to in the process. So the Freedom Accelerator, it's not a course, it's not a program, it's not another thing to do. It's not a plug and play template. It's not a whole bunch of Zoom calls. This is a high level partnership. It is grounded in results. It's grounded in community, and it is grounded in calm structure. Now, inside, you and I walk together as you build out one main premium offer. You can have different tiers within it, but this becomes your core income machine, your core income engine. You will be creating a visibility structure, visibility system that really starts to attract and magnetize the right people without constantly posting all the time. And you'll be designing a client journey that brings in sales predictably, repeatably. Whether you want to do sales calls or not, you've just got this very repeatable system and process that continues to bring in cash, continues to bring in sales, continues to bring in clients, and it just all gets so much easier. And you want to be learning what's working in real time now so that you stay current and you keep growing. Like I said, we have just had a over 400, nearly 450, $442,000 year, and we're scaling to 100K months. And yes, this will help you get to 20 to 30K months. This is a proven pathway that's helped a lot of women step into that kind of consistency with more peace and alignment. And as we are also scaling, we'll continue to be sharing what's working so that you're ahead of the game. You're not having to try and figure everything out. You're able to shortcut the time from how long it takes you to get to 20 to 30K months. You'll be doing it with a soul aligned community with clear mentorship. And if you've been looking for and praying for and really wondering when it's going to all click into place, this is the method, this is the process that is going to help that to be the case. Is for everything that you've already been doing to be streamlined, to be consistent, to be aligned, to be smooth, to be aligned to what you're here to create, your freedom, your version of success. And if this is what you feel like you've been looking for, what I want you to do now is I want you to send me a DM on Instagram at the Libby Robertson. DM me the word freedom. And here is what will happen when you do that. We'll send a couple of messages back and forward with each other. I'll share with you more details about the Freedom Accelerator and how the partnership works. And we'll get really clear on exactly where you're at right now and what your next best moves look like. If it's not aligned for you to join us in the Freedom Accelerator or for me to support you in achieving your goals in your business, I'll tell you that honestly. I'll point you in the best direction if I can, but I will help you map out your aligned path forward if it is a fit, and I have full confidence that I can support you in achieving 20 to 30K months in your coaching business. When you DM me, I promise there's no pitch, there's no pressure. I just want you to get the clarity on what you need to do to get to consistent 20 to 30K months in your business. You've already proven your potential. You don't need another sprint. You don't need another quick fix. You don't need more shiny object syndrome stuff. You need a business model that makes sense for you, for where you're going, for your goals, for your medicine and your work. You need support that feels safe, and you need a business that starts to support you and gives you back everything that you've put in for so long. And together inside Freedom Accelerator, again, if it's a fit, we'll build something very calm, very clear, and something that finally scales without costing you your peace. I would absolutely love to partner with you. I would love to be the one that supports you to achieving your goals. And I look forward to seeing you in my DMs. Ciao.